All right, all right. Thank you so much for everybody to be here. My name is CJ Curry. This is the CJ Curry Show. It's presented by PrizePicks. Thanks to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, they're making daily fantasy sports easy. You pick 2, 3, 4, 5, and even up to 6 of your favorite superstars from your favorite sports, and you can win up to 25 times your money. Your first bet is going to be totally risk-free. How is that? Well, you use promo code Curry when you sign up for the very first time and make your first deposit, and you'll receive a 100% instant deposit match. I've left a link down in the description of today's video. Go check out PrizePicks if you're not playing yet. Guys, we got ourselves a fantastic NBA slate. I'm totally pumped. 7 games, I want to say. 7. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like 7 NBA games for us to discuss today. So lots of NBA action, lots of very fun and competitive matchups with different narratives and storylines threaded in there. So really excited to break down today's NBA slate for you. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed, everybody who likes, everybody who shows up and participates in the live chat. Those of you who are leaving comments, I appreciate all the love and support. Let's try to get to 8,000 subscribers by the end of the week. Do you think we could do it? We're at like 7.7 something K. We need about less than 300 new subscribers. So share this show with a friend. Share the link to this video with somebody who plays on PrizePicks or who just enjoys maybe the game of NBA basketball. All right, share it with somebody. Let's get the word out. Let's try to get to 8,000 subscribers. Again, that would be close to 300 subscribers we would need to reach that mark by the end of the week. But I think we could do it. 5 strong days and we'll get there. Let's run through the live chat real quick and say what's up to everybody who's joining. Kenneth Palmer, he says, hello, everyone. Hey, KP, what's going on, buddy? We've got Corby Self. Any locks for today, Curry? No, I don't have locks. I don't sell locks. I don't provide any locks, unfortunately, Corby. Those can only be found in 2 places. At your local hardware store or up in New York. Shout out to the Lock, Chic Luch, Styles P, Jada Kiss, the only locks that you'll find are going to be up in New York or at your favorite hardware store. Those are the only locks that I know of. Denim Banks, yo, yo, yo. Ryan's in the building. Good morning to you. Dante Perry, what's happening? Thanks for joining Everyday Fantasy. My man, Don P. If you've seen him in Discord, you already know Don P is always helping the community out. Everyday Fantasy says, what it do, fam? Shout out to Patreon and the chef. What a place to be. Yeah, I'm not even going to front. Times have been hard for me. All the research in the world, all the prepping and planning, all the digging into the stats and the game logs and the matchups. I do all that and then I get no results out of it lately. It's been tough, man. The struggle has been real for me. I'm trying to get myself out of the slump, man. Out of the slump. And hopefully today, start to a new week. You know, maybe we just needed a new week to get ourselves out on the right foot. So appreciate all your help and support, though, Mr. Don P. You the man. Anthony Taylor, long time no see. What's up, brother? He says, good morning, fam. Like button has been smashed and activated. Let's get this money. Appreciate the positive energy you bring to the live channel, the live stream. Anthony Diaz says, good morning. Good morning back to you. Chase, good morning to you. Lead us to the promised land. Look, we'll do our best, man. No promises, but I'll do my best. You know I'll do my best. Bearded Gator says, what's up, gang? Hit the like button on your way in. Hey, salute to you. Appreciate you reminding the fine folks who are watching live to hit that like button. We need to run those likes up to get the word out. Tyrone's in the building. What's up, CJ and the gang? Rough weekend, but it's Money Making Monday. Let's do what we do. Tyrone, I agree. It's been rough, but you know, we're going to try to make the best of it. It's a new day, new opportunities on the horizon. So let's try to seize the day. Carpe diem. All right. E. Julio says, CJ, what's up? What's up to you? High Flyer. Yo, CJ, it's been a great month for let's continue, big dog. Good to hear that you're having success, my friend. The truck says, hope you had a great weekend. Let's get it. Appreciate everything you do. Appreciate that. Jerron says, what's up, fan? Let's get this money. I'll pink 7. Hey, everyone. Looking forward to see what CJ has for us. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Ryan, what up? Fear Shaolin says, I need to build my pockets. Yes. Percy. Shout out to Percy. Who else we got in here? Wayne Wicked says money time. Seth's in the building. Yo, what's good, Seth? Trey Kinlow, let's get it. I see you, Trey. Thanks for being here, TK. Tony Ruiz, Money Making Monday. Let's go. Kyle's in the building. Broderick's here. Thanks for being here, Broderick, one of our Patreon members. A few of our Patreon members actually showing up. Love that. Chill Robots. Cheers, everyone. Cheers to you as well. And Hunter says, yo, what up, bro? What up? Yeah, Chris Middleton is back. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Hey, we got to pick ourselves a winner from Friday's show. In case you guys have never been here before, have never watched the show, what we do every single day is we give away a risk-free two-pick power play on PrizePicks. Basically, two-pick power play, you get both picks right. You win yourselves $100 in promo credits, which then can be converted into actual credits, and then you could withdraw it and put it in your bank account. So we're giving away $100 or an opportunity, a chance to win $100 on PrizePicks through this two-pick power play giveaway. So all you have to do to qualify, be a subscriber, like today's show, and then once I end today's show, go to the replay of the show. Down in the comments section, you will see comments left by people. People are leaving the comments, and they're leaving their favorite picks, props, and plays of the day down in the comments section. So be a subscriber, hit the like button, and comment on the end of today's show in the comments section with your favorite pick, prop, or play of the day, and you'll qualify to win a risk-free two-pick power play to score $100 on PrizePicks. So let's go ahead and pick a winner from Friday's show. Let's do that now. All right, I've already got the comments from Friday's video already loaded in here. There was a total of 30 unique comments left. Shout out to all 30 of you, everybody who left a comment on Friday's show, Friday's video. Now all that's left to do is hit this start button. It'll randomly select somebody from the comment section of Friday's video to win that risk-free two-pick power play on PrizePicks. So here we go. Let's run it. All right. It looks like the winner is Ryan in Sartell. Hopefully I said that right. Ryan, I think you're watching live. If you're not watching live and you're catching me on the replay, I need you to DM me. I need your PrizePicks email address so that you can claim your prize. Congratulations to you. Shoot me a DM on Twitter at Curry the Creator. Guys, give me a follow. If you're not following me yet on Twitter, now's a great time. Go over to the Twitter machine and follow me at Curry the Creator, as you see below on the banner beneath me. Or you can shoot me a DM in Discord, free Discord. Link for the free Discord is down in the description of today's video. You can jump in the Discord and you can shoot me a DM there as well, Ryan. But you're the winner. He was liking Bam Adebayo over 12.5 rebounds and assists. And if I'm not mistaken, that play absolutely did hit. So shout out to Bam Adebayo for getting the job done at 12.5 rebounds and assists. And I believe that game was against the Dallas Mavericks. So Bam Bam coming through. He did not come through yesterday. So, Bam, you're not our favorite person right now, but that's okay. Anyway, that's our winner, Mr. Ryan in Sartell. Yes, he is here joining me live. So shoot me that DM, my friend. Shoot me that DM with your PrizePicks email address so I can get that pick added to your account. All right, let's figure out who today's mystery player of the day is, guys. I've already got Anthony Edwards in there as our first guest. He's our thumbnail player of the day. He's taking on the Houston Rockets again. And of course, in the last game, Anthony Edwards versus the Houston Rockets, he went absolutely nuts. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I can tell you this, that today's mystery player is not Anthony Edwards. In fact, it's not anybody from the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Northwest Division, but we are in the right conference. It's another Western Conference player. This player is not a guard, is taller than Anthony Edwards, who is 6'4", older than Anthony Edwards, who is 21 years old, young man. But the jersey number is correct. Jersey number 1. We did get the jersey number right, and we got the conference right, Western Conference. So, who are we going with here? It's not a Northwest Division player, so we could rule out the Nuggets, rule out the T-Wolves, rule out the Portland Trail Blazers, rule out the Thunder, the Jazz. It's none of those teams. It's got to be a Pacific team like the Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Suns, or Kings. Could be a Southwest Division team like the Mavericks, Rockets, Grizzlies, Pelicans, or San Antonio Spurs. But I think we're looking for an older player, older than 21, taller player. So maybe like a forward, could be a center, somebody who's rocking jersey number 1. Jordan Poole, Percy's throwing Jordan Poole out there as a potential guess. We can definitely give maybe Poole some consideration. How about Michael Porter Jr.? Not Michael Porter Jr., Javon, because Michael Porter Jr. is in the Northwest Division, so he does not qualify. The player we're looking for is not in the Northwest Division. It's going to be a Pacific or Southwest Division player who wears jersey number 1. I don't know. I really don't know. Number 1. I'm thinking through these teams. Nothing's really standing out to me. Oh, wait, I got a guy. Who wears jersey number 1. Zion Williamson wears jersey number 1. Let's go for it. It is not Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is older than Anthony Edwards, is taller than Anthony Edwards, does wear jersey number 1 like Anthony Edwards, but it ain't the Z-Man, not Zion Williamson. And now we know that it's nobody from the Southwest, so we could stick right into the Pacific Division. So the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Suns, or the Sacramento Kings. Who else wears jersey number 1 that plays for the Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Suns, or Kings? Devin Booker, does he wear jersey number 1? I'm trying to think. Maybe he does. Let's check the silhouette real quick. No, that ain't Devin Booker. I could promise you. I think I know who that is, though. I'm a pretty good guesser when I get that silhouette. I think I know who this is. It is not Devin Booker. It is not De'Aaron Fox, Percy. It is not Damian Lillard. I think I know who this guy is. Not Kyle Anderson. Although we did have Kyle Anderson in our last show. This is not Kyle. Yes, Mario. Mario. Me and you, Mario. I think we're on the same page. I think that's who this is, Mario. Not CJ McCollum. Sugar Ray. Yeah. M5D1K. Yeah. KP, Kenneth Palmer. Yeah. I think we're on the right track here. Let's go ahead. Throw JaMychal Green's name in there. JaMychal Green is in the Pacific Division. We know he plays for the Golden State Warriors. Is it JaMychal Green? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wouldn't call that a boozy fade. What's JaMychal Green rocking with there? I mean, a little flat top, high top, high flat top. He's got the beard. I think that's what really set it off for me. I know JaMychal Green's kind of got that little fluffy beard, fluffier than my own. But yeah, JaMychal Green is the correct answer. So shout out to everybody. Once I saw that silhouette, it kind of gave it away for me. But he's a forward/center, a box fade. There you go, Fierce Shaolin, a little box fade. Not too well kept like Lil Boozy, but he's doing his thing. Anyway, 6'9", 32 years old. He is a veteran, and he does wear that jersey number 1. So shout out to everybody who guessed JaMychal Green. Let's get into today's NBA slate. Again, if you have not hit the subscribe button yet, this is a great time to go ahead and slap subscribe. Get yourself subscribed. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the content that I'm putting out here on YouTube daily. And you'll get qualified, like I said, for one of those risk-free 2-pick power plays. So nothing to lose, everything to gain. And we're trying to get to that 8,000 subscriber mark by the end of this week. It's a lofty goal, but I think we could do it if we all put in a little bit of effort. Anyway, things get started tonight at 7 p.m. between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Detroit Pistons. This one, it has blowout written all over it. Okay, guys, it's an 11-point spread, 236-point total. So I do like the total. I am worried about this spread that the starters won't get their full run of minutes, especially when you consider that both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton will be back for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. So the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have sort of their core 5 in there. Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, both expected to play, and of course, Brook Lopez manning the middle. And Detroit, on the other hand, a little shorthand, especially at the center spot where Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley are expected to be out. So that's going to leave Jalen Duren to really hold down the fort at center, going up against the veteran Brook Lopez. Killian Hayes, a game time decision. If he's out, we might see somebody like Corey Joseph get some run. Veteran point guard, he might move into the starting lineup alongside of Jaden Ivey. But we'll have to wait and see how the news shakes out. Guys, I want to take you down memory lane real quick. I think this is a well thought out, well planned return for Chris Middleton. Why is that? Why is Chris Middleton coming back tonight? Well, I put on my tinfoil hat. I went down conspiracy lane. And once upon a time, I don't know if you guys remember this, Chris Middleton, pictured alongside of Drummond in English here, Chris Middleton was with the Detroit Pistons. Let me get my big head out of the way. You guys see that? Chris Middleton rocking jersey number 32. Who remembers Chris Middleton on the Detroit Pistons? Probably not many of you. But yes, once upon a time, Chris Middleton was with Detroit. So maybe this is a well planned out, well thought out return for Chris Middleton, taking on the team that he was once drafted to in Detroit. Shout out to Chris Middleton, young Chris Middleton, right? So Chris Middleton in a little bit of a revenge scenario, so to speak. Maybe he looks to have himself a good game tonight going up against the Detroit Pistons. Going back to our schedule tonight, we got Boston at Orlando, 7 o'clock tip-off between these two teams. Boston dealing with a handful of injuries. Guys, if you were like me over the weekend, you probably took a Marcus Smart prop against the Toronto Raptors. Ooh, did not work out. Marcus Smart, first of all, wasn't playing very good basketball in the first half. Refused to shoot the ball, had some assists, couple points, but then he goes and he twists his ankle coming off of a screen, coming off of a handoff from Al Horford. That ankle just gave out. I think Marcus Smart had the weight of the betting world on his shoulders, and that poor ankle just gave out. It was too heavy. Too many people on Marcus Smart, and his poor ankle just busted. Anyway, Marcus Smart's going to be out tonight. Malcolm Brogdon also out for this Boston Celtics squad, which leaves Derek White as probably your starting point guard. And then you'll probably see some Peyton Pritchard off of the bench. We did see Peyton Pritchard pick up some minutes against the Toronto Raptors with Marcus Smart going down with that injury. So the projected starting lineup is going to be Derek White, Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is back. He sat out in that last game against Toronto. We've got Williams and Horford expected to start in that front court. Speaking of Williams, Robert the Time Lord Williams is a game time decision. We're not sure if he's playing or not, so stay on top of the injury news. Speaking of injury news, Jonathan Isaac is back. Yeah, he had a couple of stints in the Orlando Magic's G League affiliate. Looks like they have brought him back to the active roster. He's going to probably be coming off the bench tonight. May get a handful of minutes. We're not sure how much he's going to play, but Jonathan Isaac hasn't played since the NBA bubble. You guys remember that? That was a long time ago at the start of COVID, at the start of the pandemic. That was about the last time we saw Jonathan Isaac suit up for the Orlando Magic. So the Magic slowly but surely starting to get healthier and healthier. The only player that is expected to be out tonight is Chuma Okeke as he looks to kind of make his return. We got a total of 230 points here with an 8-point spread. We've seen Orlando, though, beat Boston, I want to say twice already this season. I don't think Boston's beat Orlando once yet. So Boston may be in for a little bit of a wild ride. They're shorthanded in their backcourt, which could be good news for a guy like Markelle Fultz. I want to take you back down memory lane. Do you guys remember once upon a time, Markelle Fultz was supposed to be the #1 overall pick going to the Boston Celtics, but there was a trade that was executed by GM Danny Ainge. He traded Markelle Fultz to the Philadelphia 76ers, or the pick that would become Markelle Fultz, to the Philadelphia 76ers, for the pick that would then become Jason Tatum. So I think the Boston Celtics won on that trade, right? They traded down to the 3rd overall pick and ended up grabbing Jason Tatum. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia 76ers, of course, they drafted Markelle Fultz. It did not work out for Markelle Fultz in Philadelphia, but he's with Orlando now. So maybe there's a little bit of a revenge narrative here. Maybe Fultz plays with a chip on his shoulder, gets himself a softer matchup with no Smart, no Brogdon. He'll be locking up with Derek White tonight. So maybe we play a couple of little Markelle Fultz props. Atlanta at Chicago tips off at 8 p.m. This is going to be a fun game as well. It's always a fun game when these two teams meet. 239.5 points with a 1-point spread. I've seen Clint Capella have good games against Vucevic. I've seen Vucevic have good games against Clint Capella. I've seen the likes of DeMar DeRozan feast on the Atlanta Hawks. So we'll have to see how things play out tonight. But love the total from this game. Love the fact that it's only a 1-point spread. And as far as injuries go, nothing real crazy on the Chicago Bulls side. Goran Dragic, game time decision. Over on the Atlanta Hawks side, Bogdan Bogdanovic is a game time decision, as is Okongwu. So keep an eye on both of those guys. They're more role players, guys that are coming off of the bench. But if Bogdanovic can't go, you'll probably see somebody like AJ Griffin pick up some more minutes. You might see DeAndre Hunter get a few extra minutes of run. But love the total of this game. It's got a high potential here. It's one of the NBA TV games tonight, so it's going to be a nationally televised game. Moving on down here to another 8 o'clock game between the Minnesota T-Wolves and the Houston Rockets. Of course, you guys saw I put Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, as the thumbnail player of the day. Had an absolutely killer game against the Houston Rockets the last time that these two teams played. Anthony Edwards posted a heck of a line here. 44 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists versus Houston. That was January 21st, just 2 days ago. So this is one of those back-to-back run it back type of games. It's like a rematch style game. Minnesota versus Houston. They just played 2 days ago. They're playing again tonight. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, there was some concern about Anthony Edwards because he was dealing with like a hip injury or hip issue. He put all those concerns to rest in dominating fashion with 44 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists versus this Houston Rockets team. So I had no choice but to make Anthony Edwards the thumbnail player of the game. He's going to get another great matchup again tonight against this Houston Rockets team. Can we expect 44 points again tonight? Maybe not, but I mean, even if he goes down 10 points, that's still 34 points. He could be in for another massive night tonight against the Houston Rockets. As far as injuries go for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert's a game-time decision. Taurean Prince, game-time decision. Jordan McLaughlin's out. Karl Anthony Towns is out. And then you got Bryn Forbes also listed as a game-time decision. So the big one there is obviously Rudy Gobert. Keep an eye on him. If he's out, Naz Reid will probably move into the starting lineup. And then on the Houston Rockets side, Jabari Smith Jr., game-time decision. He did not play in the last game. Kevin Porter Jr. is out tonight, so you're going to see more Jalen Green and Eric Gordon in that backcourt. If Jabari Smith is out, you'll see Kenyon Martin get some more run. Might even see some more of Jayshawn Tate, Tari Eason. Alperen Sengun's looking like baby Sabonis lately. Shout out to Alperen Sengun. Dude's really stepped up his scoring, his rebounding, and the most important thing, he's looking like a pretty darn good passer along the likes of Sabonis or Nikola Jokic. Sengun's still a very young player, but it's really cool to see him kind of develop as like this double-double machine who can reach 6, 7, 8 assists on any given night as well. So love the total here, 234 points with a 5.5 point spread. 9 o'clock tip-off between the Charlotte Hornets and the Utah Jazz here. Another trip down memory lane. Once upon a time, this guy was with the Utah Jazz. You remember this young fella? Look at this young scrapping guy here. He barely could grow in a beard. He had the long shaggy cut. Shout out to my man Gordon Hayward. Maybe we got a little bit of a revenge narrative tonight as Gordon Hayward is kind of back in the mix for the Charlotte Hornets after spending some time on the injury list. He's going to be going back to Utah, playing against the team who drafted him, the Utah Jazz. So LaMelo Ball, game time decision. Not sure if LaMelo is going to play or not tonight. It would be a pretty good matchup for LaMelo Ball, though, going up against the likes of Mike Conley Jr. and Jordan Clarkson. The Utah Jazz defense hasn't been all that great this season. Martin is a game time decision, but more likely to sit than to play. And then Kelly Oubre continues to sit out for the Charlotte Hornets. Over on the Utah Jazz side, Kelly Olynyk, another Kelly. It's a shame. We won't have any males named Kelly in this game. No Kelly Oubre, no Kelly Olynyk taking the floor tonight in this Charlotte-Utah matchup. What could have been, huh? All the jokes. Walker Kessler is expected to start. And of course, Walker Kessler against Mason Plumlee, he's going to be in a pretty good spot tonight because the Charlotte Hornets have not done a great job against opposing bigs. So centers typically feasting against this Charlotte Hornets squad. Love the total on this game. It's 239.5 points. It's an 8-point spread. Lots of offense expected from these two ball clubs. Then we get into our 10 o'clock or later games, starting with the San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trail Blazers. Guys, Devin Vassell still out for the San Antonio Spurs. We got Portland reporting Justice Winslow's not going to play tonight. Portland's on a back-to-back. We saw them last night take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Whew, what a comeback. LeBron James just continues to impress. I don't know if you guys watched that, but the Lakers were down for a while there, and LeBron put the team on his back like only King James can, and he brought them all the way back. LeBron had a fantastic game last night. So shout out to LeBron James. I think he's on steroids, but he's still doing his thing. He's got to be on steroids, right? Come on. I know he's a freak athlete anyway, but come on. Is he on the juice or what? Man's losing his hair. He's still got these muscles popping out of his shoulders. I ain't hating. I'm just saying, how is he doing this at his age? How is he doing it? 241 points, guys. The only game on tonight's slate. Actually, there's 2 games. Both of the late night games, 240 plus points. So 241 here between Portland and San Antonio with an 8-point spread. So that one's going to be fun. And then last but not least, the 10:30 p.m. tip-off between the Memphis Grizzlies and Sacramento Kings, 245.5 points. My, oh my. If your eyes don't get big, seeing a total at 245.5, I don't know what to tell you. You need to check your pulse. 1.5-point spread, meaning this game is supposed to stay close and competitive. Another team that almost came back from the dead last night was this Memphis Grizzlies team as they took on the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix got out to a huge lead. I think it was close to 30-point lead by halftime. Memphis came all the way back just to fall short by like 1 point. So Memphis decided to play in the second half. It's a shame they didn't have that same energy in the first half. Maybe they would have came away with a victory against a beat up, depleted Phoenix Suns squad. But as far as injuries go, Danny Green's still out for Memphis. For Sacramento, Metu is a game time decision, so he could be out. If he is out, you might see more minutes for the likes of Rashawn Holmes or Alex Len. I think he's still with the team, right? Anyway, that one's going to be must-see TV. That is your second game on NBA TV. So NBA TV really blessing us today. You're going to get that late game between Memphis and Sacramento, and then the earlier game, which is Atlanta at Chicago at 8 p.m. So there it is, guys. Hit me with some of your questions. If you guys have questions on player props, I'm here to help. I'm here to answer as many questions as I can, given the time permitted. So all your hard-hitting questions, guys, you need to think about using Super Chat. Not only does it help support the channel, but it goes a long way in keeping free content free here on YouTube for you guys. I love doing what I do, and I want to keep doing what I do. So think about using Super Chat. It'll highlight your comment. Your donation goes a long way, and then I'll go and I'll do like a deep dive for you on whatever your question or your comment is. The only reason I mention that is because you guys are going to flood me with comments and questions. I know that I'm not going to get to them all. There's a lot more of you than there is me. So if you have something hard-hitting, a pressing matter, an urgent need or question, Super Chat's going to be your best friend to get it done. All right. So taking a look at the chat here, scrolling through, I want to see what you guys are talking about here as far as some props, because I saw some things that were being mentioned earlier on in the show. Let me scroll through and see if I can pick out a couple of those as you guys load up some questions for me to research and dig into for you. Robert Riviera already coming through with one. He was asking about Jason Tatum's assist and rebounds. So that's like a combination of assists and rebounds. So let's take a look at that. Jason Tatum sat out in the last game. Boston, we talked about their backcourt kind of being short-handed, right? There's not going to be Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, both going to be out. So maybe Tatum takes on a little bit more of that ball handling type of role as a facilitator, as a setup guy. So I could see something like that possibly playing out. So Robert, for you, we're going to take a look at Jason Tatum's rebounds and assists. And while I'm thinking about it, Devion Martin, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you being a subscriber. All right, folks, we're going to be using props.cash to help us with our player prop research. Let's refresh props.cash and make sure we have all the latest and greatest data and information and lines loaded up here. If you're not using props.cash yet, 25% off your first month of props.cash when you use code Curry at checkout. I've left a link for you to get started on props.cash down in the description below. They're really changing the way that player prop research happens for me. Anyway, I really like props.cash and their tools. So let's just take a look real quick. Jason Tatum's rebounds plus assists. My, oh my. Hard not to like this one, right? When you go and crack open the game logs here, especially the last 10, Jason Tatum at 13.5 rebounds and assists has been absolutely slapping, right? He's been hitting the over here in 6 straight games, 7 of his last 8. He's had at least 14 rebounds plus assists. So things have been looking up and up and up for Jason Tatum when it comes to the rebounds and assists category. So I think this is a good start. This looks like a good first look here. A guy who's getting it done, showing good form recently. We love that. And then a guy who we talked about might have the ball in his hands a little bit more than he normally does. Of course, he's already a high usage guy for the Boston Celtics, but without Brogdon, without Smart, maybe Tatum, again, is more of a facilitator tonight. Let's take a look at what he's done against Orlando. He's faced Orlando twice this season. In those 2 games, he has failed to to really come even close to 13.5. The best that he was able to muster was 10 rebounds and assists versus Orlando, and that was December 16th. We can go back to last season and just take a quick peek. He's 1 for his last 4. He did have 16 rebounds and assists in a game at Orlando back in February, nearly 1 year ago. So 1 for his last 4, 25% hit rate, had 16 rebounds and assists in that game. Maybe we could take a look at some numbers here. Maybe we could see, does Jason Tatum have more rebounds and assists without somebody like Marcus Smart on the floor? Let's take a quick peek real quick. So he's averaging 12.8 with Smart, mostly with Smart. In games without Marcus Smart, 13.3. So we do see that average go up just a little bit without Marcus Smart, 9 for 18. So the last 18 games that he's played, some of these games were from last season. Some of these games include games from this season. 9 for 18, though, without Marcus Smart. That's a 50% hit rate. And we did see that average jump up to 13.3 rebounds and assists. So 50% hit rate this season. He's gone over this number without Marcus Smart in 4 out of 6 games. That's not too shabby. Do we have any games with Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon out? Let's take a look. We only have one game, and it was from this season. It was against Atlanta. Let's go to the 5-game view here to make this a little easier to see. 11-16-22. So November 16th, 2022 was the only game that we have on record here where he played without Smart and played without Brogdon. He ended up with 15 combined rebounds and assists, which is enough to put him over the hump here at 13.5. So he's 1 for 1 this season. Now, last season, of course, these 4 games all were without Malcolm Brogdon because Malcolm Brogdon was not on the team yet. They signed Malcolm Brogdon, obviously, in the offseason. So we could take a look at some of these games from last year. This was no Brogdon, no Smart. So really, it was basically no Smart because, Brogdon wasn't on the team. But you could see what he did without Malcolm Brogdon. It's the same hit rates, essentially, that he had, without Smart. So kind of gives you an idea. He's 1 for 1 this season, though, which is the most important thing. 1 for 1, it's a small sample size. It's one game, but he did have 15 rebounds and assists against the Atlanta Hawks. All right, let's get you a projection here and take a look at some of the sportsbook data on this prop. So we're going to go to the rebound and assist category. Let's refresh, make sure we have all the latest data pulled in here, the latest betting lines pulled in here. So we'll go rebounds and assists. We'll go look at Jason Tatum. And I got him projected for 14.5 rebounds plus assists. That's 1 rebound and assist higher than where you're going to find him on the sports books and on PrizePicks. He's at 13.5 on your favorite sports books, minus 140 betting favorite on DraftKings, a minus 145 betting favorite on BetMGM, minus 128 on FanDuel, minus 130 on PointsBet. So all the juice, there's some pretty strong juice here, is going on the over. So I think Jason Tatum at 13.5 rebounds and assists going up against the Orlando Magic may not be a bad look after all. So I would click more on that, being that he's projected for 14.5, being bet over at pretty good odds on the over at 13.5. I think this is a good start. So thank you, Mr. Robert Rivera, for leaving that gem for us. We got a couple of super chats coming through here. Of course, super chats will obviously always take priority and precedence over just your questions in the chat section. So Ryan T, thank you for the super chat. Again, appreciate it. Helps go a long way to support the content. He's saying, what do I think about Wendell Carter Jr.'s first half fantasy? Well, if you guys have tuned in before, you know how I feel about the Orlando Magic. Yes, they're my favorite team. There's no question about it, no doubt about it, but they're also a team that is young and is full of depth and talent. And again, as we talked about earlier, Orlando is going to be getting Jonathan Isaac back. So let's run through the roster for Orlando as far as front court positions go. Obviously, you've got Wendell Carter Jr. who's going to be your starting center tonight. Alongside him is Paolo Banchero, right? So we know those guys are pretty much locked in as the starters. Now we go to the bench. We got the likes of Mo Bamba, Mo Wagner, Bobo, there we go, Bobo, and then, of course, the aforementioned Jonathan Isaac. So they're deep. That's the point I'm trying to make here. They are very deep at that power forward / center position. So I love Wendell Carter Jr., one of my favorite players on the Magic. But do I think he's going to go over his first half fantasy tonight against the Boston Celtics? I don't know. It's hard for me to really fall in love with any of these Orlando Magic players. I just got to be honest with you. Like I said, there's just too much talent, too much depth on this roster at that center/power forward spot. But what we can do is kind of take a closer look for you, my friend. Going to the last 7 games, we're looking at fantasy points allowed by opposing teams. We go down to the Boston Celtics. You see that they're giving up about 51.7 fantasy points per game to opposing centers in their last 7 games. So that's pretty strong. Really strong rebound numbers, almost 17 boards per game to opposing centers. But Wendell Carter Jr., 51.7 fantasy points allowed by Boston, which kind of puts them down toward the bottom of the list, right? They're closer to the bottom than they are the top, meaning they're somewhat stingy in the last 7 games when it comes to the fantasy point department. I'm probably personally going to fade Wendell Carter Jr. again. I just don't love this Orlando Magic situation. They just got too many bodies healthy now at that center and power forward spot. But what we can do here is take a look at Wendell Carter Jr. I've got him projected for 29.63 fantasy points tonight. So we take that 29.63 number, we divide it by 2, we end up with 14.8 fantasy points, which is, again, not a perfect science, but it lets you know that on a per half basis, he'll be somewhere right around 14 to 15 fantasy points per half, which is really close, right? Really close margins when you take a look at his 14.5 first half fantasy score number. So you're cutting it pretty close, all right? There's not a big difference, big gap here. One other thing that we can do, just to make it worth your while, make it worth it for you for leaving that super chat, we could go Wendell Carter Jr. first half FanDuel points logs this season. And we could see how he's done with 14.5 first half fantasy score. All right, he hit in his last game like PrizePicks is showing here with 20.2, missed the 2 previous games, so this lines up exactly right with what PrizePicks is showing, had 27 and 17.4, so he's hit the over in 3 out of his last 5. But we go back a little bit further here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next 5 games, he's 2 for 5 in those. So you kind of look at the last 10 games, right? Holistic view here. He's gone over 14.5 first half fantasy points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's like 50%. It's a coin flip here in the last 10 games for Wendell Carter Jr. when it comes to the first half fantasy. Now you can take this a step further if you want. One thing that I like to do is look at the splits because some guys perform better at home than they do away. So you can add the word home on StatMuse and just see how he performs on his first half fantasy points when he's playing at home. So we look at the last 5 games at home. He's 1 for his last 5, going over 14.5 fantasy. That's not good. 1 for 5 is terrible. Then we go to the next 5 games, right? He hits the over with 19.6, 10.9, 11.9, 2.2, and then 26.7. So he's 2 for 5 in that group of games. So overall, his last 10 games, guys, he's just 3 for his last 10 games playing at home in front of the Orlando fans. So for me, it's a big fat fade. Jonathan Isaac's healthy. They got Banchero, Bamba, Wagner, Mo Wagner, and Franz Wagner. Really, they're both 6'10" or taller. Just all these healthy bodies. Bol. So I'm just going to stay away from Wendell Carter Jr. If you like it, maybe play it once. Maybe play it in a flex-only style entry so that you don't power it and then your feelings get hurt. But for me, I'm going to probably just fade it. I wish they had a fade option. They got more or less. I wish they had a third option, which was just like fade. But that's what I'm going to probably do. I'm just going to stay away from it, man. I don't feel great about it. So hopefully that information is insightful for you, Ryan T. Appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the support. We got another super chat coming through from Everyday Fantasy. He's liking some Drew Holiday at 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We talked about Drew Holiday and the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee's going to be healthier than ever tonight with the likes of Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo expected to rejoin the starting lineup. So Drew Holiday sitting out here at 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So again, using props.cash. Shout out to props.cash for making this research possible. Going to the Milwaukee versus Detroit game, we're going to click Drew Holiday's name here. And we're going to crank this up to 32.5 PRA. And you can kind of see what his hit rates have looked like here. 18 for 35 on the season. That's a 51% hit rate. It's important to note, you're going to look at these last like 20 plus games or 10 plus games. You're going to say, dang, there's a lot of green in there. Well, there is a lot of green in there, but Chris Middleton was also out for a lot of those games. Giannis has missed a lot of these more recent games, like his last 10 games. I think Giannis has been out for a good portion of these games. So obviously with Giannis out, with Middleton out, that's going to open things up for a guy like Jrue Holiday. But for the season overall, he's averaging 32 PRA. He needs 33 PRA to go over. So that's why my guy, Everyday Fantasy, is considering the under here, I think. Now, we take a look at what he's done against Detroit. He has dominated the Detroit Pistons. There's no mistaking it. Back on October 31st, Halloween Day, 42 PRA. 42 PRA in that game. He ran it back just a couple nights later, November 2nd, 36 PRA. So he's had two very dominant performances here at 32.5 PRA against the Detroit Pistons. So some people out there are going to look at this and they're going to be like, dang, he is killing Detroit. Why would I take the under? And you got a point. He has played some very good basketball. Let's see. Was Giannis in for either of these games? Giannis must have been in for that game. Was Chris Middleton in for either of these games? Let me look at that. Chris Middleton was out for both of these games. So Giannis was in, but Middleton was out. So maybe Middleton being back shakes things up a little bit, and Jrue Holiday doesn't do quite as well. One thing that you could do using StatMuse, which is pretty cool, you can go Jrue Holiday, points plus rebounds plus assists logs with, you don't have to capitalize it, but I'm just emphasizing, with Chris Middleton this season. Let's see what we got. All right, so he's got a total of 5 games played alongside Chris Middleton. December 2nd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th. So there was a stretch of 5 games there. I want to point out to you that in these games, Jrue Holiday has gone over 32.5 PRA in 4 out of 5. That's an 80% hit rate. The one game that he did not go over was 12-9-22. Who was that? That was the Dallas Mavericks. He ended up staying under, but one more three-pointer for Jrue Holiday would have put him over 32.5 PRA. But anyway, nonetheless, 5 games played with Chris Middleton. He's gone over 32.5 PRA in 4 out of 5. So be careful with this, Everyday Fantasy. I know you're talking about going under 32.5 PRA, but he's gone over 2 for 2 against Detroit. He's gone over in 4 out of 5 with Chris Middleton. All right, so things may not be so sweet tonight if you click the under button. Taking this a step further here, we'll go to the point guard position. Just looking at the last 7 games, we're going to go find the Detroit Pistons. See how many points, rebounds, and assists that they've been giving up to the point guard position in their last 7 games. Of course, Cade Cunningham out for the season, so it's going to be a lot of Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, some Corey Joseph in that backcourt. Taking a look at the Pistons here, 24.7 points. That's a pretty good amount of points. Plus 7.5 rebounds, we'll call it. So that puts them at about 31 to 32 points and rebounds. And then 8 assists sprinkled in on top of that. That's about 40 to 41 PRA allowed to opposing point guards in their last 7 games. That's a lot. That's a lot. If you take a look at the fantasy points that they've given up to opposing point guards in their last 7 games, 51.5. That is the 6th most. So I kind of use fantasy score as like a barometer to see how a team's been defending a position. They have not played so well against opposing point guards over the last 7 games. So again, Holiday, 2 for 2 against Detroit, 4 for 5 with Chris Middleton in the lineup. We've seen Jrue Holiday just absolutely red hot here over the last several games. Last like 10 games, last 6 games, I should say. He's gone over this number in 5 out of 6. Again, a lot of those games were without Giannis, without Chris Middleton. So I would be very careful clicking the under, but who cares what I think, right? Let's go take a look at a projection here for Jrue Holiday. Holiday is projected for 35.3 PRA, 35.3 projection on a line of 32.5 on PrizePicks. I do want to point out and mention PrizePicks is a point higher at 32.5 than where you're going to find them on DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. All right. So if you are thinking about taking the over on Jrue Holiday, you are paying a premium. You're paying a little bit more of a lofty price here on PrizePicks compared to where he's at on the sportsbooks. Again, they've got him at 31.5, but there is some juice. The juice is loose on the over at 31.5. So what do you guys think? What are you doing with Jrue Holiday? I'm conflicted. I don't know if I want to click the under on Holiday or the over. Could this just be another situation where we walk away, where we fade it? I don't know. Could be. Could be. Let me know in the chat, though, if you guys are watching. What are you doing with Jrue Holiday? You taking it over, you taking it under, or you fading it? Let me know. All right. Let's see here. Got some other questions coming through. I see a lot of people posting some stuff in this live stream. I think for me, like I said, I'm just gonna leave Jrue Holiday alone. I don't know. Maybe they look to feed Chris Middleton the ball or something tonight. I just don't know. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Everyday Fantasy, 31.5 on the books, like we mentioned. I'm just gonna stay away. Roy says the best bet of the day, calling our shot under Jrue Holiday. Okay. All right. Accolade, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Sub-Zero says, take Jason Tatum before it's bumped. Yeah, I would not expect this 13.5 to last a whole lot longer. If a bump happens, well, we told you so, right? We tried to warn you. Let's see. Going through the rest of these live chat comments here. Caleb Browning says, Capella over blocks and steals. Line looks too low. Let's take a look at Clint Capella. They're taking on the Chicago Bulls tonight. So Capella will be matched up against Nikola Vucevic. Blocks and steals line for Clint Capella sitting at 1.5. Caleb saying, what do we think about this? What are we doing with it? We taking it over, under? Well, let's just take a quick little glance here at what Clint Capella's been doing. Obviously, Capella has been sort of on a minutes restriction, minutes limit. There's word that Okongwu is a game time decision. If he does not play tonight, then Clint Capella might find himself forced into playing more minutes. But the coaching staff has already come out and said Clint Capella's minutes will be increased, will be ramped up game over game. They're looking to get Capella more run as things progress here. But anyway, this season, Clint Capella, 1.5 blocks and steals. Well, he's gone over this line in 20 out of 31. That's a 65% hit rate. So I can understand and see why you might be interested in taking the over here on the big fella, Clint Capella. Taking a look at the last 10 games for Capella, he's gone over this number in 7 out of his last 10. Of course, there was a big absence between 12/23 and his return on 1/16. So let's also take a look at the last 5 games here. Last 4, more importantly, he's gone over in 3 out of his last 4 since kind of making his return back to the lineup for the Atlanta Hawks. So he had 3 blocks against Miami, 2 against Dallas, 3 against Charlotte. So that puts him over in 3 out of his last 4 games. Did not record a block or steal against the New York Knicks. Taking a look at the matchup. He's played Chicago once already this season. That was back on December 11th, 2022. This season, last year, he had himself 2 steals and blocks versus Nikola Vucevic and the Chicago Bulls. We could also take a peek back at last season. He played Chicago 4 times last season, went over 1.5 steals and blocks in 1 out of 4 games. So I don't know. Maybe he had himself a fortunate game this game. But last season, he was just 1 for 4, covering this number at 1.5. So there's a little bit of a rundown for you on Clint Capella's game logs. Let's take a look at the last 7 games. Is the Chicago Bulls, are they getting their shot blocked? Are they giving up steals to opposing centers at a ungodly rate? Let's take a look real quick. Starting with the blocks, looking at the last 7 games, centers. We're going to go all the way down. Chicago only getting their shot blocked in the last 7 games. Only giving up 1.04 blocks per game to opposing centers. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to go to Clint Capella. Obviously, the Atlanta Hawks have more than one center on the roster. Could go to Clint Capella because he's going to get the most minutes, especially if Okongwu is out. But Chicago, second to last when it comes to blocks allowed to centers in the last 7 games. We're also going to take a look at the steals allowed. steals allowed to opposing centers. Now, Chicago is more toward the top of this list than the bottom like they were for blocks. When it comes to steals, they're giving up 1.2 steals per game to opposing centers, which puts them right around 10th highest or 10th most steals per game in the last 7 games. So Clint Capella might have a real shot here. He might have a chance to record 2 steals and blocks tonight. Let's see if we can get you a projection on this line here. I got Clint Capella at 1.5 steals and blocks, projected for 1.7, slightly more than 1.5. We take a look at where he's at on BetMGM. He is a minus 125 betting favorite to go over. So not super strong odds, but nonetheless, some juice coming in on the over. So there you go. Let's see here. Dante Perry coming through with the super chat. What do we got, Dante? I'm looking for your comment, your question. Okay, there it is. Lauri Markkanen and Nikola Vucevic, points and rebounds. He's also thinking about some, I'm guessing that's DeJounte Murray. I don't believe Denver plays today. DeJounte Murray points. And then he's mentioning Jalen Green? Jalen who? There's a lot of Jalen's. Jalen blocks and steals. All right. Let me see if we can work through these real quick. So the first one that he mentioned is Lauri Markkanen and Nikola Vucevic, points and rebounds. So let's pull those guys up real quick. Points and rebounds for Lauri are sitting at 35.5. Man, that's a big number. 35.5 points and rebounds for Lauri. He's also liking some Nikola Vucevic for points and rebounds. That's at 29.5. I think he's wanting to take the over on both of those. Am I right, Dante? Hopefully. You're not saying over or under, but I'm thinking you mean over. And then he's mentioning DeJounte Murray's points and Jalen blocks and steals. So let's go find DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray at 21.5 points tonight. Yes, sir. Over on everything, of course. And then Jalen blocks and steals. Let's go find Jalen for you. Jalen Green. I think you mean Jalen Green. He's the only Jalen today. All right. That makes things easier. Normally there's like 3 or 4 Jalens. I don't have any Jalen Green blocks and steals posted to PrizePicks. So if PrizePicks had it up, well, it ain't up no more. They must have taken it down. Maybe he means Jaylen Brown. Good point. Maybe it's Jalen. Oh, okay. You spelled Jalen like Jalen Green, so I thought you meant Jalen Green. Jaylen Brown has that Y in there, and that makes all the difference in the world in this case. So Jaylen Brown's blocks and steals at 1.5. So he's wanting to go over on all 4 of these. What do you guys think? Lauri Markkanen, points and rebounds at 35.5, going up against Charlotte. Nikola Vucevic, 29.5 points and rebounds, going up against Atlanta. We got DeJounte Murray at 21.5 points, going up against Chicago. And then Jalen with a Y, Brown, Boston Celtics, 1.5 blocks and steals going up against my Orlando Magic. I don't like that. I don't like that you're going against my Magic. But let's get things started here with Lauri Markkanen's points and rebounds, and we'll take a look at all these real quick for you. Again, appreciate the super chats, guys. It goes a long way, and hopefully you guys find value in what I do for you when you do leave a super chat. So let's do a deep dive on this particular list of guys that he's mentioned here. We'll start with Lauri Markkanen, who's sitting at 35.5 points and rebounds. I think he's in a pretty good spot, though. We talked about the Charlotte Hornets not being all that great defensively this season. They're going to possibly be without LaMelo Ball. Gordon Hayward's going to be entering that starting lineup. He played last game, so Gordon Hayward will be in there. No Kelly Oubre or Kelly Olynyk for that matter. So Lauri Markkanen here, points and rebounds. Let's look at the last 30 games. I wish we had like a last 15 game view, but this last 10's pretty green, right? 7 out of his last 10. That's a 70% hit rate. And then he's averaging 39.8 points plus rebounds in that 10 game span. Going back to that last 30 game view, let's count these out real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of his last 14 games. 10 out of 14 is a pretty darn good hit rate. So 10 out of his last 14 games, he's gone over 35.5 points plus rebounds. One other thing that we could do here, we know Kelly Olynyk's going to be out. Lauri Markkanen for the season, 33.5 PR, points and rebounds, right? When we pull Kelly Olynyk out, let's see what happens. The last, we'll call it last 10 games. So he's gone over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 8 games without Kelly O in the lineup. So that's pretty darn good. 43 against Detroit, 44 against San Antonio, 41 against Cleveland, his former team, 40 against Orlando, and 46 against the Clippers. So the only teams he failed to go over against was Cleveland, Washington, and Brooklyn. So pretty darn good hit rates without Kelly Olynyk. All right, let's take a look and see, does he have any previous matchups against Charlotte this season? He does not, has yet to play the Charlotte Hornets. So we can go look at some DVP information real quick. Lauri Markkanen's going to be your power forward, small forward in general. So he'll probably be matched up against like PJ Washington, possibly Jalen McDaniels or Jalen or Jaden. I always get these guys mixed up. I know they're brothers. Jalen is the Charlotte Hornet. All right, Jalen McDaniels. So Markkanen should be in a pretty good spot against PJ Washington and McDaniels. Let's go take a look real quick. DVP wise, power forwards, last 7 games going up against the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are giving up roughly 20 points per game, about 10 rebounds, and about 5 to 6 assists. Let's just call it 6 assists for easier math here. So that's about 36 PRA given up. The PR, they're giving up about 30, which is not great because he's going to need 36 to hit the over, right? So let's get a projection for you on this, and then we'll move on to your other options here. Lauri Markkanen, 37.5 projected points and rebounds. That's 2 points higher. For those of you keeping score at home, 2 points higher than his line at 35.5 on PrizePicks. Also want to point out, DraftKings, BetMGM, they both have him at 35.5. He is a betting favorite to go over with minus 125 and minus 130 implied odds on both sites. And then some sites like FanDuel and PointsBet have him up at 36.5. And we are seeing minus odds on the over, which is good. You don't want to see plus odds on the over. So the fact that there's some people who are betting the over even at 36.5 could also be a good indication that he's going to be in a great spot tonight. So there you go. There you go. You got Lauri Markkanen, 35.5 PR. Betting favorite to go over, projected to go over by 2. So I think that he makes for a fine overplay. Let's go with Nikola Vucevic. All right, Vucevic, points plus rebounds, going up against the Atlanta Hawks. Let's go see if Vucci Man is in a good spot or not. Vucevic, points and rebounds. He has hit this in 20 out of 45. That's a 44% hit rate, which sounds pretty bad until you look at his last 10 games where he's gone over in 8 out of 10. That's an 80% hit rate. 80% hit rate is very good in the last 10 games, obviously, averaging a very healthy 33.6 points plus rebounds in that span. So Vucevic has been getting the job done here. I like what I'm seeing out of Vucevic. Has he played Atlanta this season? In fact, he has. He has gone under, though, in both games versus the Hawks, 21 PR and 27 PR. Both games were in Atlanta. So he is 0 for 2 against Atlanta. We could take a quick peek back at last season. He did have success against the Hawks last season, going 3 for 4 against Atlanta. So he is capable, we'll say, of getting it done. 41, 36, and 32 in those games that he hit. He did have one game in there where he only had 22 points plus rebounds. So Vucevic should be in a pretty decent spot. We would have liked to have seen him be a little bit more dominant against Atlanta this season like he was last season. But nonetheless, he's been showing great form, excellent form here in his last 10 games, going over in 8 out of 10. So we know Clint Capella's probably going to be starting once again tonight. He's kind of working himself up, building up those minutes. Don't know if he's ready to run, for 36 minutes or anything like that, but Clint Capella should be out there for a healthy amount of minutes, like I mentioned, especially if Okongwu cannot go tonight. And if Okongwu can't go, I think that leaves them with Frank the Tank, right? Frank Kaminsky, I want to say, is still with the Atlanta Hawks. Maybe he gets some minutes off the bench. I believe that is like their third string a big man. But anyway, Atlanta, last 7 games, what have they been doing against centers? Well, they've been giving up about 22 points per game, about 14 rebounds per game. That's about 36. And then sprinkling like 3 assists on top of that, and you're looking at about 39 to 40 PRA. Now, just the PR, you're looking at 22 and about 14, so about 36 points plus rebounds. So definitely doable, right? Based on the averages, points and rebounds they've been giving up last 7 games, definitely doable for Nikola Vucevic. But let's get you a projection here and see what they've got Vucevic projected for. All right, I got a healthy number here of 31.6 points plus rebounds. Again, this is just one projection model, and these are provided by Action Labs and Fantasy Labs. So Nikola Vucevic, 31.6 points plus rebounds. That's over 2 points and rebounds projection higher than where he's at on PrizePicks. Now, the only concern here, we're seeing him at 29.5 on a variety of different, sports books here. DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet, just to name a few. He is a slight betting favorite to go under at 29.5 on those sports books, meaning bettors like me and you are going to these sports books and they are putting their cold, hard cash on the under, meaning they don't have a whole lot of confidence that Vucevic is going to snag 30 points and rebounds combined tonight. So make of that what you will. He's projected to go over. The odds are on the under. But if you take the over here, I hope that the odds are in your favor. All right, DeJounte Murray at 21.5 points. Let's quickly run through that one. Same game, Chicago, Atlanta. Good total between these two teams, of course. Let's look at DeJounte Murray here. We're taking a look at his season numbers first and foremost. 18 for 42, just a 43% hit rate. So a sub 50% hit rate is not good, typically not good. But I can understand why you're probably getting hyped, why you're getting excited. Looking at the last 10 games here, he has gone over 21.5 points in 5 straight games, posting 27, 28, 30, 29, and 26. So he's 5 of his last 5. All of a sudden, has really started to kind of come to life here for the Atlanta Hawks. The 5 games prior to that, 21, 16, 16, 9, and 18. So out of his last 10 games, 50%, but the last 5 games, Green Bean City. Call the Jolly Green Giant up. We got the Green Beans right here, 5 out of his last 5. What has he done against Chicago this season? Well, he's played them once and had just 15 points in that game against the Bulls. That was December 21st. That game was in Atlanta. So that's not good, right? But maybe he has a better game tonight as he is showing, like we mentioned, excellent form. 5 out of his last 5 going over 21.5 points. So he's got a chance, right? I mean, he's got a chance with the way that he's been playing. He has a real chance. Let's go take a look at the DVP. How the Chicago Bulls have defended point guards in the last 7 games is important to consider. So let's go look at that. Let's go find the Chicago Bulls. We got to go down, all the way down to the bottom. Wow. Folks, the last 7 games, the Chicago Bulls are allowing just 19.5 points per game to point guards. Now, I don't know if you want to call DeJounte Murray the point guard. I don't know if you want to call him the shooting guard. But Chicago's been defending the point guard position at a very good rate here. 19.5 points is the fewest points allowed in the last 7 games to point guards. Just for fun, I will also take a look at the shooting guard spot. So shooting guards getting about 24 to 25 points per game against the Chicago Bulls. That kind of puts them like right in the middle of the pack. So again, hard to distinguish, right? Is Trae Young your point guard or your shooting guard? Is DeJounte Murray your point guard or your shooting guard? I don't know. I think Trae Young's more of a shooting guard, undersized shooting guard than a point guard. But, that's just sort of, subjective, I guess you could say. Anyway, let's get you a projection on DeJounte Murray points. He's at 21.5 here on PrizePicks. We got him projected for 21.4. Action Labs projections, 21.4. So that's not significantly higher or lower. I mean, that's almost right in line with where he's at today at 21.5. And then at 21.5, we're seeing some mixed results here. We're seeing a sports book like FanDuel betting favorite to go over, a sports book like BetMGM, a bigger betting favorite to go under. So mixed signals, right? Mixed messages. I'm probably going to stay away from this one. 0 for 1 against Chicago. Chicago looking pretty tough, tenacious against the point guard position. So I'm probably going to stay away from this one. Jaylen Brown, 1.5 blocks and steals was the last one that my friend had to mention here. So let's go look at Jaylen Brown. Again, hopefully you find this super chat well worth the price point, whatever you left. I think it was $1.99, $2. But yeah, I go into the details for you guys that leave those super chats. It means a lot to me. So Dante, hopefully, like I said, you find this very insightful on these picks before you go and lock them in and put your money in on it. But Jaylen Brown's at 1.5 blocks and steals. We talked about all the injuries in the Boston backcourt tonight. Let's flip it over to props.cash. We'll go to the steals and blocks category, the Boston-Orlando game. And we'll click Jaylen Brown's name and we'll take a look at what he's done here with the steals and the blocks. He's 20 for 42. That's a 48% hit rate, recording 2 steals and blocks. All right. Again, sub 50% hit rate. I don't get into the steals and blocks a whole lot. I don't get into the turnover props a whole lot. It's just not my jam. They're very unpredictable. They can happen and then they can just dry up on you when you think they're going to happen again. But anyway, that's just my take on steals and blocks and turnovers and free throw makes and stuff like that. I kind of stay away from those. Kind of an unpredictable set of props there. But anyway, he's 20 for 42. That's a 48% hit rate. All right, last 10 games, just taking a look at this view. 4 for 10, that's 40%. That's not good. That doesn't get you excited. Last 5 games, just 2 for 5. That's a 40% hit rate. So that's what you can kind of expect from Jaylen Brown here recently. Now, he's going up against Orlando tonight. Here's where things start to get a little bit more exciting, all right? We'll even pull up last season's games. Last season, 2 for 3 against the Magic, recording at least 2 stocks against them. This season, 3 for 3 against my Orlando Magic with 2 or more stocks in every single game. 3 for 3. He had 2 at Orlando, 3 in Boston, and 5 in Boston. So 3 for 3, 5 out of his last 6 games against the Magic. He has gone over 1.5 steals and blocks. So he has sticky fingers, so to speak, when he takes on my Orlando Magic for whatever reason. All right, we can take this a step further, our research, that is. Let's see what happens when we take Malcolm Brogdon out. Malcolm Brogdon out. He's played five games without Malcolm Brogdon this season. He's 2 for 5 without Malcolm Brogdon. All right. So wanted to show you guys that. Brogdon is out tonight for Boston. He will not be taking the floor. All right. What happens when we take Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart out? Well, let's take a look. He's got 1 game against Atlanta with no Brogdon, with no Smart, where he had 2 stocks. So he's 1 for 1 this season without Brogdon, without Smart. Now we go back to last season. Let's put all available. Let's go find Marcus Smart. Let's go all available, and then we'll go season numbers. All right, so these are all the games that he's played within the last 2 seasons without Marcus Smart. 9 for 20, 45% hit rate, and he's averaging 1.6 stocks. So again, great matchup for him. Apparently, Orlando, just for some reason, likes to cough the ball up when they play against Jaylen Brown and these Boston Celtics. Let's go get you a number here, DVP, and then we'll get you a projection, hopefully, here on Jaylen Brown's steals and blocks. But Jaylen Brown's going to be your shooting guard. So Orlando, when it comes to steals, where do they rank? How many steals are they giving up to opposing shooting guards in the last 7 games? About 1.5. That's not bad. About 1.5 per game. It kind of puts them right smack dab in the middle of the pack here. And then what about blocks? 0.6 blocks to opposing shooting guards. So it's probably more likely that Jaylen Brown ends up getting a couple steals than he does a block, but he could potentially get a block as well. So Orlando's given up about a little over 2 stocks per game to opposing shooting guards, which is what we need tonight, right? We need at least 2 out of Jaylen Brown. So let's go get you a projection and take a look at some sportsbook data here on this prop. Jaylen Brown, 1.5 is his line. He is projected also for 1.5 steals and blocks. So not really getting anything out of that projection. They're right in line with where the sportsbooks are today. And then BetMGM's got him at 1.5. He has a minus 125, slight betting favorite to go over at 1.5 steals and blocks. So there's your rundown, your breakdown on Jaylen Brown. Gun to head, I'd probably say, yeah, you might want to take the over on Jaylen Brown. He just seems to have a knack for finding the basketball against the Orlando Magic. So again, hopefully Dante, that helped you out. Dante was liking some Vucevic, Markkanen over points and rebounds. He was liking some Jaylen Brown over those blocks and steals, and DeJounte Murray over 21.5 points. Out of those, what was my favorite? Probably Markkanen against the Hornets. I'd probably say Markkanen against the Hornets at the PR number, points and rebounds number. I don't mind that. Let's see. Jalen Williams, steals and blocks. Jalen played last night for OKC, right? Is that who we're talking about? They got J Dub and J Will, I believe. All right. Let's see. We got some other super chats to attend to here. Appreciate those. Ooh, man. Some new subscribers. Thank you for everybody who's jumping on board here. Mr. K Mitch 25, thanks for subscribing. Dante with the super chat. TV Martinez 27, thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. We got two super chats coming through from Carson Hamlink. So let's address those real quick. I'm trying to take them in order. Emmett, don't worry. Saw your super chat. We'll get to you in just a moment. But first and foremost, we gotta talk to Carson. Carson's liking some Wendell Carter Jr. rebounds. Talked a little bit about Wendell Carter Jr. and this Orlando Magic front court is super deep. Carter Jr., you got Ben Caro, you've got Franz Wagner, Mo Bamba. You got Jonathan Isaac coming back into the mix. Bull's in there too. So I don't know how the rotations are going to play out tonight for Orlando. I don't know how many minutes, how they're going to distribute the minutes, which is concerning because if a guy doesn't get his full run of minutes, well, shoot, he can't get you anything when he's sitting on the bench, can he? So Wendell Carter Jr. was your first pick that you were liking. You didn't specify over or under, but I'm guessing you are like me, and the over is all you care about. So Jason Tatum's assists. We talked about Jason Tatum's for rebounds and assists, but you're looking at just purely the assists sitting at 5. So we got a couple of props that have obviously been bumped here. Wendell Carter Jr. at 8, Tatum at 5. No hooks on either one of those, so they had to have been bumped up or down by our friends at PrizePicks. And then last but not least, Markelle Fultz assists. Let's go take a look at those. Where are those sitting at? 5. All right, so 3 props here. All 3 of these props have been bumped. Let's just take a look here at all of these. Starting with Jason Tatum, we talked about the rebounds and assists, so I won't go too far into to Tatum here, being that we've kind of already discussed him at length. Let's bump him down to 4.5 so we can see some green bean bars here on props.cash. 4.5 assists, meaning he's had 5 or more assists in 20 out of 44 games. That's a 45% hit rate. Again, that's a sub 50% hit rate, which ain't great, right? That's not what you want to see. Against Orlando this season, he has gone under his assist line of 5 in both games, just tallying 1 and 3 assists respectively. Just taking a quick peek, flashback to last season. 1 for 2 against Orlando, had a game with 7 dimes, another game with just 3. But as we keep hammering home here, the Boston Celtics are going to be without both Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. So maybe Tatum has more assists in this case. So just taking a look at the games without Marcus Smart, going back again to last season and including games from this season, 10 for 18, that's a 56% hit rate. He had a string of games toward the end of the regular season there where, he was just racking up some dimes. This season, though, 3 for 6. So 50% hit rate at 5 or more assists. Now, we talked about one game in there where he's got Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart both out. He's played one game. In that game, it was against the Atlanta Hawks. He ended up racking up and tallying 8 assists in that game. 8, obviously a lot higher than 5. So 1-for-1 this season with 8 assists. That's the only game that we have on record. Jason Tatum assists without Smart or Brogdon this season. So let's go get you a little DVP action here. Tatum probably going to be more of your small forward tonight if they start Grant Williams at power forward, Al Horford at center. That would leave Tatum to kind of be more of your 3, but he's a 3/4, whatever you want to call him. Anyway, Orlando against small forwards, last 7 games, giving up about 4.2 assists. You could see that is a top 10 figure, top 10 number. That's a good average for assists. More closer to the top than the bottom, which is good news. And then power forwards. How many assists are they giving up there? Orlando's still giving up a pretty healthy number at 3.9 assists. Puts them right outside the top 10, but closer to the top than the bottom. So they are giving up quite a few assists to both forward positions. And then last but not least, we got to see what the projection's looking like for Tatum. It's a good one. Pretty good. 5.7 projected assists. At 5.5 on your favorite sports books, we're seeing a lot of line action on the under here. -140 all the way up to -154. Betting favorite to stay under 5 assists. Under 6 assists. They think he's going to stay under 6 assists, so 5 or less assists. So you can take the over here if you want, being that we got a projection of 5.7. He's 1-for-1 this season. Maybe he ends up coming through with at least 5 dimes. Maybe you end up in a tie or a push here on his assists, but yeah, that could be an option. Let's go Wendell Carter Jr. Rebounds next. Again, we've kind of already hit on this. Wendell Carter Jr., Orlando, their whole situation. Don't know how the rotations are going to play out tonight with Jonathan Isaac coming back, with the Orlando Magic front court being healthier than they ever have been before. They're 19 for 27. I'm sorry, Wendell Carter Jr. is 19 for 27 when you're asking him to get at least 8 rebounds for you. So that's a 70% hit rate at 8 or more rebounds in 70% of the games that he's played in. So that's really good. 70%, we'll take that all day long till the cows come home. He's played Boston once this season already. He recorded 12 rebounds against the Celtics in that game. 1-for-1 against Boston. We could even take a flashback real quick to last season. My guy Wendell Carter Jr. with at least 8 rebounds in every game against Boston. That includes 4 games, 3 of which were last season, 1 from this season. So he's 4-for-4 against Boston. Historically, has done a really good job against this Celtics squad. Speaking of this Celtics squad, let's go last 7 games. Take a look at the rebounds they've been giving up to opposing centers. Whew. 17 per game, my friends. That's the 4th most in the last 7 games. Rebounds allowed to center, the 4th highest at about 17 per game. So Wendell Carter Jr. is absolutely in a lovely spot here. Pending he gets the run necessary to get the job done. So let's cap this off real quick with a projection for you. 8.6 boards. That is more than 8. But just like Tatum, we're seeing a lot of action coming in on the under. -130, -128, -145, -130 once again on PointsBet. So take it, I guess. But, don't be surprised if he ends up with exactly 8 boards. Being that he's being bet so heavy on the under at 8.5, I wouldn't, expect him to go for like double-digit rebounds. Maybe he doesn't go double-digit tonight, but 8 or 9 boards, possible. That's what it looks like anyway. All right, and then your last one was Markelle Fultz, my guy. We talked about him at the top of the show. Once upon a time, he was supposed to go number 1 to the Boston Celtics. They traded that pick to Philadelphia. They traded down from 1 to 3, ended up getting Jason Tatum with that 3rd overall pick. Markelle Fultz then had himself a bumpy ride in Philadelphia, and now he's with us, and I'm happy to have him. I like Markelle Fultz. I think he's a great little player when he's healthy. That's the key, when he's healthy. He's healthy right now, and he's healthy tonight. He will be out on the court. So let's go take a look at Markelle Fultz here, who is sitting at 5 dimes. He's going up against the Boston Celtics. Fultz this season, when we take a look at his game logs, we're going to bump him down to 4.5 on props.cash just so we get more green bars in there. 4.5, meaning the green 5 or more assists. These are hit rates for 5 or more. Not 6 or more, but 5 or more. He's at 5 on PrizePicks. So 5 or more assists. He's done this in 15 out of 25 games. That is a 60% hit rate. Things have really started to pick up here in the last 10 games or so for Fultz. He's hit 5 or more dimes in 8 out of his last 10. That's an 80% hit rate while averaging 6.1 assists per game. So love to see that. I think the chances of him getting 5 or more assists tonight look very strong. Very promising based on what we've seen here in his recent games. Now, what about against Boston? Well, he's played Boston twice this season. He's hit 5 or more assists in 1 out of 2 games, had 4 back in December. 2 days later, he had 5. So, one out of 2. He hasn't had 6 assists, though, for what it's worth. Has not had 6 assists against Boston, which is what you would need or what you would hope for when you take him at 5. You're not hoping for 5. You're hoping for 6 if you take the over at 5, right? Nobody wants to tie. Nobody wants to push. Might have an easier time tonight without Marcus Smart being in, without Malcolm Brogdon being available. Taking a look here at the last 7 games, point guards versus the Boston Celtics. As far as assists allowed, they're giving up about 7.39 per game. Now, 7.39 is more than 5, but we also have to consider Markelle Fultz is not the only point guard on Orlando, right? They got Cole Anthony. They got Jalen Suggs, who plays some point. Franz Wagner is kind of like a point forward. He handles the ball a lot. Same thing with Banchero, right? There's a lot of hands in the cookie jar when it comes to this Orlando Magic squad. But nonetheless, Boston giving up over 7 per game, which is the 6th least in the last 7 games. But we talked about how shorthanded they'll be in their backcourt. So maybe that changes things. Maybe that impacts things just a little bit. Fultz projected for exactly 5 dimes. And then he's a betting favorite, big betting favorite, under 5.5 on your sports books. Anywhere from minus 140 to as high as minus 165 betting favorite to stay under. So there's a good chance he ends up in a tie with just 5 assists. There's a good chance that all of these props end up in a tie or a push, okay? But all of them look pretty decent. I'd probably rank these, give me Wendell Carter Jr. for more than 8 rebounds as my favorite out of these 3. And then I'd probably go Fultz and then Tatum. Carter, Fultz, and Tatum. Maybe I'd rank them like that. But, that's just a guess. All right, Carson, you hit me with 2 super chats. Your next one was DeJounte Murray first half PRA. And then you want to go back to Wendell Carter Jr. My. A lot of Wendell Carter Jr. Love for his different ways, different player props today. So let's start with this DeJounte prop. His PRA probably has hit at a very nice rate. I'm assuming you want to go over on it. So there's that one. And then you also want to look at Wendell Carter Jr., but you want to go over on the turnovers at 1.5. You think he's going to go over. And I think that was the only 2 from that second super chat you left, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Let's start with DeJounte Murray then. His first half PRA. Guys, I'm going to let you know that Props.Cash makes doing first half PRA and points research very, very easy. Recently, they did an update, which I am a big fan of. Big fan of this update. They've made it possible for you to look at first half, second half, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter numbers. So shout out to Props.Cash for making this information so easily accessible and available here. So we're going to look at DeJounte Murray. We're not looking at full. We want to click the button for 1H, which is first half only. He's at 16.5 first half PRA. We've got hit rate of 55%. So he's been successful at going over in 23 out of 42 games. Kind of like his points recently, he has hit the first half PRA in 5 straight games. But if you go back prior to those five games, he actually went under his first half PRA in 6 straight. So he was on a little bit of a cold streak, and now we're kind of catching him in a bit of a hot streak, right? We look at the last 10 games, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. 5 red, followed up by 5 green. Now, he's played Chicago already once this season. Did not do so well in that one. Just 7 first half PRA. We talked about how this matchup does not look particularly good when it comes to the points department. Chicago Bulls versus point guards recently, they've been doing a pretty good job at limiting points to point guards. Now, again, there's debate whether or not DeJounte Murray, you could put him in the box as a point guard, or whether he should be put in the shooting guard box. I mean, that's up to you guys. However you view him and Trae Young is up to you. But I think for me, DeJounte Murray plays more of a traditional point guard role, and Trae Young's kind of like an undersized shooting guard. But I don't know. Maybe they're both point guards. Anyway, 0 for 1 against Chicago, 5 out of his last 5, and for the season, 55%. So he's hitting the over at 16.5 first half PRA more often than not. I don't have a projection, unfortunately, for a first half, but that's kind of the rundown on DeJounte Murray and that PRA. For me, I don't know, man. I just don't feel great about DeJounte for whatever reason tonight. Looking at some of the stats that we saw for the Chicago Bulls, I'll probably stay away from it. I just don't know. Figuring out him and Trae Young on any given night is just always a tough task. What about the splits? Maybe we could look at that. At home, he averages 18 first half PRA. 16 for 22 when he's at home. 73% hit rate. Okay, but tonight he's not at home. He's away. And on the road, he's 7 for 20. Okay. Well, he's going to be on the road playing in Chicago tonight. 7 for 20 on the road this season on his first half PRA. That's only 35%. That's a 35% hit rate. 15.8 PRA, first half PRA average. So you're catching him in a negative splits situation. He is in a bad spot tonight playing on the road. So maybe that ends up breaking sort of the tie for you, or maybe it convinces you to stay off of it, fading it, or taking the under on it. Hasn't been so great playing on the road this season. Better at home than he is on the road. So, all right. And then the other one you mentioned was Wendell Carter Jr. Something about his turnovers that you're liking tonight. Let's go Wendell. Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be your center, obviously, for the Orlando Magic. Haven't really looked at his turnover props a whole lot this season, but let's do it together, shall we? And by that I mean look at his prop together. I wouldn't want to do anything else other than that with you guys. Anyway, Wendell Carter Jr. 1.5 turnovers. We've seen him turn the ball over at least twice in 70% of his games this season. That means he's turned it over two or more times in 19 games out of 27 that he's appeared in. So that's a pretty good number, averaging 2.2 turnovers per game. Now, recently, last 5 games or so, he's just 2 for 5. So he's doing less turning over here recently. The last 10 games, we've seen him turn it over in 6 of 10, 60% hit rate. And then the last 30, 19 for 27. Okay, cool. And then against Boston, he's turned it over 3 times. They played each other back on October 22nd. So he had 3 turnovers in that game. Going back to last season, kind of like his rebounds, where he was 4 for 4 with 8 or more boards against Boston. Well, he's also 4 for 4 with 3 or more turnovers. We need 2. He's turned it over 3 or more times against Boston in 4 out of his last 4 games. 3 for 3 last season, 1 for 1 this season. So a little turnover prone. Something about him playing against Boston seems to turn the ball over just a little bit more than normal. Do I have a projection for turnovers? I don't. No projection for turnovers, but that's kind of your rundown on Wendell Carter Jr. as far as turnovers go. Seems to turn it over and cough it up quite a bit, doesn't he? Versus this Boston Celtics squad. Boston centers, last 7 turnovers per game, forcing about 2.1, which sounds like a lot, but then you kind of consider the depth of the Magic. They've got multiple centers on their team. Not sure how many minutes Carter Jr. is going to get, but Boston kind of down toward the bottom, closer to the bottom than they are to the top when it comes to turnovers to the center spot. All right, so there you go. Deep dive on your super chats. Hopefully, Carson, that helps you and guides you tonight. We've got Amit Flint, who left a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. He says, just wanted to say thank you for inspiring me to start my own Patreon. He's reached 400 patrons in 3 weeks. Couldn't have done it without you. Congratulations, my friend. Glad you're finding success. Love to hear success stories, obviously. And then accolades coming through. He's liking DeMar DeRozan over 4.5 assists. DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan, 4.5 assists going up against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. I think DeRozan usually does pretty well against Atlanta, like just in general, has good overall games. I think his points are probably my favorite way to go, but you're looking at the dimes here at 4.5. Let's see what we can find here for DeMar DeRozan as we kind of keep this show rolling. Keep it rolling. For the season, 4.5 assists, 24 for 42, 57% hit rate. Okay, close to 60%. Had a nice little run there. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games where he hit the over, and then kind of went under for 3 games, goes over for 2 games, under, over. So he's kind of just been hit or miss here in the last 5, 6 games or so. Last 10, 6 for 10, 60%. Last 30, 57%. And then for the season, he's also 57%. Against Atlanta, though, 2 for 2 this season against the Hawks, dropping 8 dimes back on December 11th. Follows that up 10 days later with 5 more assists versus Atlanta. Both of these games were on the road, but he's averaging 6.5 assists. Taking a quick look at last season, he played Atlanta a total of 4 times. Had 10, 8, and 8 assists versus the Hawks, 3 out of 4, and then a 5 out of 6 hit rate over the last 6 games, 83%. So he seems to definitely drop a lot of dimes when he plays the Hawks. That's pretty eye-opening. Good find, my friend. Who left that? Who left this? Accolade? All right, Accolade. You might be onto something here. Let's get you a little DVP situation here. DeMar DeRozan's going to be more of your small forward. You got Levine at shooting guard, Dosunmu at point guard, and or Caruso at point guard, whoever they decide to start. Anyway, small forwards, last 7 games. Let's go take a quick peek. Going up against Atlanta, the Hawks are giving up about 3.8 assists per game. That's close to 4 dimes. He needs 5. He's had a pretty good success rate at getting these assists. So they're just outside the top 10 when it comes to assists allowed per game over the last 7 games against small forwards like DeMar DeRozan. So we got to get you a projection and see what DeRozan's projected for. The models, Action Labs, Fantasy Labs models, have him at 5.1. You would need at least 5 if you're considering the over here, obviously. Now, you would be going against the grain. The odds would not be in your favor. In this case, looks like he's a betting favorite to go under 4.5 assists. DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet all have him going under 4.5. So if you're going to take it, do so sparingly. Take the over, maybe one line, put it in a flex, whatever you want to do to kind of cover your butt. Not great hit rate, or not great odds when it comes to the over here. Most sports bettors think that he's going to go for 4 or less assists. So be careful with that one, Accolade. Like I said, take it if you feel good about it. I mean, historically, obviously, he's been very good against the Hawks at dropping dimes, but a lot of those games were from last season, and this is a whole different season here, whole different situation. All right, what other super chats do we have? I want to make sure that we're getting to all of these. Shout out to all the new subscribers, by the way. We got Out the Mud. Thank you for subscribing. Lil Scrap 3500 TV. Thank you for subscribing as well. TW4L. Your subscription means a lot to me as well. Appreciate all the new subs coming through. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here. Ryan T says, last one for me. What about Walker Kessler? Points plus rebounds. Let's do it, man. Walker Kessler, points plus rebounds. I was looking for him earlier. He was not up on the board. It looks like they finally have added a lot of Walker Kessler here. Guys, if you've been playing daily fantasy sports, if you've been in the prop betting space within the last couple of years, we like starting opposing bigs against the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets, for whatever reason, probably a lot to do with Mason Plumlee, they don't care about guarding the center spot. They just don't do a great job guarding opposing centers. To illustrate my point, let's go take a look here at the Charlotte Hornets. Last 7 games, doing a better job, right? But still, 56.6 fantasy points per game. That's putting them in the top 10. Like I said, I use fantasy score as sort of an overall barometer of success or how well they're doing against a certain position or whatever. So they're not doing very good against opposing centers. We take a look at some of these individual categories, last 7 games, nearly 26 points per game given up to the Hornets. That's the 4th most given up by the Hornets to opposing centers, I should say. 26 points per game. That's the 4th most. Rebounds allowed. They're up pretty high on this one too, up pretty high on this list. That is 14 rebounds per game. So points and rebounds, last 7 games, you're talking about 26 points and 14 boards. That's about 40 points and rebounds. Now, Walker Kessler without Kelly Olynyk is typically a good play. But then you got games like last game when he played against the Brooklyn Nets where inexplicably he gets 24 minutes. Just 24 minutes. I'm a little perplexed by that. I don't know why he only received 24 minutes in that last game, but such is the case. Maybe they just didn't feel like foot speed wise or athletic wise he can match up well with Nicholas Claxton. Tonight he's going to go against Mason Plumlee. That could be a little bit better of a matchup for him, Plumlee versus Claxton. So hopefully he gets more minutes tonight. Here's what I know about Walker Kessler. When he gets the minutes without Kelly Olynyk, he does typically produce. So looking at games without Kelly, let's take Kelly Olynyk off the floor. We're using PropStat Cash again to kind of help illustrate this point. You can see that he's done a pretty bang up job, 4 for 10. That's not great. But what I want to show you here is when he gets like 24, 27 minutes. I mean, once you start cranking these minutes up, these game logs, like I'm going to bump it up to about 27, 28 minutes. He's 4 for 5. At 27 minutes, he's 4 for 6, 28 minutes, 4 for 5. So if we could get him playing about 28 minutes tonight, that's really what we're hoping for, right? About 28 minutes tonight. He should have a pretty good time here, especially given the matchup against the Hornets, who rank 28th in points allowed, 28th in rebounds allowed. So there's only 2 teams in the league giving up more points and more rebounds than the Charlotte Hornets are. So it's all about the minutes for any of these guys, right? It's all about the minutes. If they're not going to be out on the floor, then they can't get us points or rebounds or anything else for that matter. But when he plays at least 28 minutes without Kelly Olynyk, he's 4 for 5, which I like that. That's 80%. So let's go take a look at a couple things. Let's start by taking a look at Kessler's minutes projection here. Minutes projection. I do have him playing 28 minutes tonight. All right. So he's projected for 28. We want him playing about 28 tonight. If we could get 28 minutes out of him, he should be in a really good spot. And to kind of illustrate that even further, we could go here to StatMuse. We could go Walker Kessler points plus rebounds per minute without Kelly Olynyk. Did I spell his name right? Olynyk. There we go. All right, so let's whip out the calculator. Boop, boop. So he's played 10 games without Kelly Olynyk, averaging 109.4. I don't think, there we go. 10.94. No, this ain't right. What the hell's going on here? All right, let's just break it up and do it this way. Let's go points per minute without Kelly Olynyk. All right, 0.39. And then we'll go rebounds per minute. So, 0.39 and 0.37. All right. So 0.39 plus 0.37 is 0.76 times 28 minutes, 21.28 points plus rebounds. His line is at 22.5, which is not great. It is not more than his line at 22.5. So he's at 21.28. We took the points per minute without Olynyk, the rebounds per minute without Olynyk. We added them together, and then we multiplied them by the 28 minutes he's projected to get tonight. 21.28 points per minute, or points and rebounds per minute, which is less than 22.5. So that doesn't make you feel great, right? What about just the rebounds on their own? Maybe that's just the better way to go. 0.37 times 28 would put him at about 10.36 rebounds, roughly. He's at 11 boards today on PrizePicks. Ooh, It's going to be tough. Now, this is just averages. Obviously, he is in we'll call it an above average matchup against this Charlotte Hornets team. This is a favorable or plus matchup. What about just his points at 11? What did we say? 0.36 points per minute? 0.39 points per minute? 0.39 points per minute times 28 minutes would put him at about 10.9 points tonight. If he gets 28 minutes, that is. We don't know for sure that he's going to get 28 minutes. That's just a projection. So that kind of gives you an idea, right? These lines are pretty tight here for Walker Kessler. So we got to hope he gets 28 minutes. Obviously, the matchup is going to be a good one for him. Let's get some projection action going here on Mr. Kessler. Walker Kessler projected for 22.7 points plus rebounds. Slightly more than the 22.5. It's tight, guys. It's tight. He's a betting favorite at 22.5 PRA to go under. So that's not very comforting either. Rebounds and points. We could look at kind of just both of those real quick, projection-wise. Projected for about 11.3 points. He's a betting favorite to go under at 11.5, which is why PrizePicks bumped him down to 11. A lot of juice coming in on the under for Kessler. What about his rebounds? Do we have a good projection for that? 11.4 at 10.5. A lot of juice coming in on the over at 10.5. Minus 140, 128, 145, 130. So they went ahead and bumped him from 10.5 up to 11. So it's going to be tight. The matchup is definitely right for Walker Kessler tonight. Going up against the Charlotte Hornets, I don't need to tell you that. We kind of already know if you've been playing this game for a little while. You know the Hornets, we like to start centers against the Hornets. So, but the numbers on Kessler tonight look pretty sharp. Pretty freaking sharp. Yeah, like Mia Straw Hat 1 says, Kessler's minutes are starting to decrease. Yeah, that's the problem. Like his minutes are kind of unstable, unpredictable, right? We saw him get very few minutes and produce very few points, rebounds, anything really against the Brooklyn Nets in the last game. Maybe that was, like I said, just sort of a not the greatest matchup for him. Maybe him against Nicholas Claxton wasn't ideal. So him against Mason Plumlee tonight, you know, hopefully he gets 28 plus minutes because he does post some good numbers whenever the minutes are there. So Kendrick Nunn got traded. Wow, really? Matthew Martinez, what are your locks for today? I don't have any locks today or any day. No locks for me. I'm not a guy who's going to promise you anything or, you know, tell you I got locks. It's gambling. There are no locks. There are no locks. I'm sorry. But with that being said, damn, it's 1:47 p.m. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I think we've covered a lot today, a whole lot. So I think we got all the super chats covered, right? Before I go, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Everybody, okay, cool. Saltwater Bulls, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Tavares, thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. So I think with that being said, I'm going to get off of here, grab some lunch, probably get back to doing some more research and post anything that looks interesting to me to Patreon. And we'll try to do our best to get back in the green today on Money Making Monday. Guys, shout out to you. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you've slapped that like button. And if you want to win one of those risk-free 2-pick power plays like Ryan did today, the 2-pick power play will get you $100 if you get both picks right. Just be a subscriber, hit the like button. Once I end the show, the replay goes up in a few minutes on YouTube. Go to the comment section, comment your favorite pick, your favorite play, your favorite prop. Maybe somebody sees it in the comment section. They tail and they win because of you. Okay? Leave your favorite pick in the comment section, and I'll be picking another winner on tomorrow's show from today's comment section. All right, guys, good luck on everything. Thank you so much for joining me and all your support. Peace out.